Hawley, the senators who led the way with this poison, this insurrection arguably does not happen without them. Cruz is now trying to say, oh, I've been at odds with Trump plenty. Don't let him get away with this. His cleanup proves he knows he's dirty. Hawley raising a fist in solidarity to the mob right before the onslaught. Part of what we have to do is have leaders call out what's wrong, specifically the culprits. And our new leader, President-elect Biden, did do that today.
I think the American public has a real good, clear look at who they are. They're part of the big lie. The big lie. Trump said that before he ran. If you say it enough, I'm going to convince you. I'll say it enough. The press is bad. The press is bad. The press is bad. The press is bad. If he's the only one saying it, that's one thing. But the acolytes that follow him, like Cruz and others, they are as responsible as he is. There are decent people out there who actually believe these lies because they've heard it again and again.
He's right. But there are others. We're Trumplicans. Some of them didn't vote to overturn the election, like Senator Marco Rubio. He's been proud to carry Trump water and push his lies for 4 years, even after he rightly identified him as a great American.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
So explain to people why you did exactly that, brother. Why'd you help him lead the way for the con's incitement of an insurrection? Now you want to blame the liberal media? But not you, right? You're good still, right? Because you quote the Bible, right? It's us who's spewing the BS, right? You and Cruz and the other Trumplicans. You banged him during the campaign, but then you loved him up when he had power over you. And that shows you never put your constituents first. And I hope they know that. You want to complain about the media? Complain to the media. Come on the show. Show that you can debate with decency. I promise you the time, and I promise you measured tone until you demand otherwise. But you won't come. I invite you because you want to be a victim, but you victimize the rest of us. And if I'm wrong, come on and explain it. This is an open door because I don't want to stay where we are. It's killing us. So if you're so righteous, if you're in the right, come on and explain. Let people understand how we got here without your help. Trump will go, but these people will remain. And they cannot be allowed to move on until they step forward and say they were wrong to allow him to run free and run wild. Otherwise, they're not to be believed, even when they grieve a dead Capitol Police officer. Brian Sicknick, may he rest in peace. And my really profoundest sympathies to his family. I'm so sorry he was put in this position. This should have never happened. 4 others were killed in Wednesday's attack as well. And may the peace that the Sicknicks at some point get, some measure of solace, will be the truth about why he had to give his life. Because words, because disinformation, because lies can have deadly consequences, and it is the job of leadership to check them, not Twitter. We shouldn't be waiting on Jack Dorsey to stand up to the American president before the people elected to do exactly that. Twitter is not the natural check to the presidency. You people are. Do your damn jobs. Nobody wants to hear that you're patriots. Show it. Unity is not a one-step process here. You cannot forgive and forget, and that's not about vengeance. It's about a reset. It's about getting somewhere better, and that has to have consequences. But what does that mean? Let's bring in one of the top Democrats in Congress on the way forward, Hakeem Jeffries of New York. He helped lead the last impeachment drive, now pushing for a second go-round. God bless the family. It's good to see you, Congressman.
Great to see you, Chris. Thank you for having me on.
Impeachment. Is it the right move now? Why?
Well, what we witnessed was a violent insurrection that was incited and encouraged and in many ways directed by the current president of the United States of America with deadly consequences. It was seditious. It was treacherous behavior. It resulted in the death of a hero police officer. It shattered democratic norms. There was an attack on the Constitution, on separate and co-equal branches of government, on the American way of life. So there has to be accountability with respect to this incredible abuse of power, this violent rebellion that Donald Trump stoked. And so in my view, one of the tools that we have available to us to hold an out-of-control president accountable is by impeachment, which is why I support it. The challenge, of course, Chris, is that we've got limited time. But Donald Trump can do damage every minute, every hour, every day, every week that he has left in office.
But impeaching him doesn't stop that. He was a little subdued during the process last time. But being impeached and that process does not stop him from exercising his powers. And you know, with almost all certainty going into it, that you're not going to get a trial and conviction in the Senate. I don't even know that you get a trial. So is it worth it, and why?
Well, there are three different lanes that we're pursuing. The consensus approach that I believe exists within the House Democratic Caucus, led by Speaker Pelosi, as she has articulated, is that he has to be removed immediately, and we've got to work toward that objective. There are three lanes. There's an impeachment lane, which of course would result in a process in the Senate possibly to remove him. There's a 25th Amendment lane, and it's my hope that those cabinet secretaries who are left would do their constitutional duty, consult with Mike Pence, and make it clear that this president is no longer fit to serve in office, or there's resignation. We're starting to see Republican senators call for his resignation, which is interesting, Chris, because they had an opportunity to do the right thing on the floor of the United States Senate in January of last year, when we made the case that this was a president who was trying to interfere in the 2020 election and undermine our democracy and turn it into a dictatorship. We presented clear and convincing evidence, and yet they kept him in office. Mm-hmm. So they are also responsible for what we're seeing right now.
And you know that there's very likely not going to be the political will to move against him, because even after the insurrection, they still stood up and lied. And yeah, you've got one Republican senator calling for Murkowski, calling for him to step down. But one is just one, especially if McConnell isn't the one. Also, you know, a lot of people believe that if you impeach him a second time, he can't run again. You and I both know that's not true. He'd have to be convicted to not be able to run again. So he would be the worst by the measure of two impeachments, but he wouldn't be restricted from running again. And what happens with this notion of continuing the process after he's gone? Why would that benefit the democracy?
Well, no decisions have been made with respect to going down that lane. There are conversations, as the Speaker has indicated, with a variety of other stakeholders in the process, the incoming administration, the Senate Majority Leader who will take office shortly, Chuck Schumer, in terms of the changeover from the Republican to the Democratic control of the U.S. Senate. So those are things that are being worked through. But we have to respond to the moment, and we're trying to respond to that moment as best we can. And we also will continue to call out the sycophantic behavior that we've seen amongst members in the House of Representatives, led by the Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, mm-hmm. who had been burying his head in the sand, and now he's actively fanning the flames of sedition by joining his colleagues who were perpetrating the big lie that Donald Trump won this election. He did not. He lost an electoral college landslide.
Is it true that McCarthy called Trump, asked him to stop the activities, the riots, the insurrection activities, and that Trump refused, and then the guy still got up and lied for him on the floor of Congress?
That's a very interesting question. I think Kevin McCarthy should be asked that. It seemed to me that that was an unsourced rumor that was put into the public domain, perhaps by allies of Kevin McCarthy. I don't know that to be the case.
That's interesting spin.
To make him look good, because otherwise there's no explanation when he's not publicly condemned Donald Trump, and as you pointed out, went to the floor of the House of Representatives and then voted with those who were fanning the flames of sedition. And so I believe he's a lost cause. There are other Republican colleagues of mine, several, including a member of leadership, who did vote to certify the election of Joe Biden. They should be given credit. And hopefully, increasingly, we're going to see a break from Donald Trump. Brighter days are ahead. Joe Biden is going to be the next president of the United States of America. We did our constitutional responsibility. They tried to stop us. We stopped them by going back to the floor of the House of Representatives. We're going to continue to do that as we move forward.
Well, look, you couldn't have an easier case for impeachment than you have in front of you right now. But it's about what does it cost and what does it gain? And these are tough calls. And I appreciate you coming on to discuss it with us, Congressman. We're in a bad place. Fighting the good fight has never meant more than it means today. God bless and good luck going forward. You always have a place on this show.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Hope. Sometimes it's defined as yet undiscovered disappointment. We've had that heartbreak. Democrats can't do it alone. Republicans have to want Retrumplicans no longer in their number. So we have somebody to talk to tonight. He was the first in his party in Congress to call for the 25th Amendment as a way to remove Trump. What's he hearing from his colleagues? Where's his head and his heart now? Congressman Adam Kinzinger, next.